Hello, Reddit. Hello, OC community. And hello to fans everywhere. I'm a fan of you. So we're going to troll, just like we always do, dig into some OC content, and see what we can come up with. I'm very, very happy with the response, enthusiasm we got from last week's trolling, where we dished out some awards to some people on Reddit who are doing some interesting things. Congrats to the award winners. And, we're just going to go back to the old school here, where it all started, where I hurt people's feelings, make people cry on Reddit, make people get angry, and, that's worked pretty well, and why change up a winning formula? But I'll be honest with you. If you guys throw at me something that's really awesome, something that's incredible, something that makes me think, I'll let you know. Now, as per how I always like to roll, I do roll by new. I do sort by new because that's the only way to be true to the OC poetry. However, if people DM me some stuff and their stuff is lit, then we're going to get into that first. And that's exactly what happened here, guys. Preston Rothschild the fourth here, my man, Preston, dude, lighten it up. So yeah, is this poem like the greatest poem that's ever written? Probably not. But does it have its moments? Heck yeah. So let's see what this is all about, guys. Now, you guys know that I don't like the super long, and this poem isn't super long. It has short lines, so we'll see what we can do here. 8. I'm not so sure I'm thrilled about the title, Preston. 8, period. I think you could probably give us a little bit more specifics than that. All right, 8. 8.5 was Fellini, right? He named a movie 8.5. And fucking critics loved it. I always found the color gray to comfort me in times of despair, as if to say, there, this day is for no one. Strong opening, Preston. And yet, okay, this is the but, and yet it pains me to think of taking pleasure in the destruction and or absence of happiness slurped from the minds of others whom I met. Right, Preston? Whom I met one time in a rooftop bar. Oh, right. Now you're locating me in the poem. Now I'm with ya. Put me at that rooftop bar, baby. Before the plague descended. Okay. Before the plague. A little Batman there, but Batman's always welcome on the channel. I grapple with the ideas of purpose and pleasure. All right, fulfillment and dopamine. And then tea with honey. I guess he's back in Bruce Wayne mode. Or without the rain droplets race each other. Or without. As the rain droplets race each other down the panes. If not to get away, but to eat their own. Oof. Those rain droplets are just cannibals. I've always found comfort in the color gray. So, dude, Preston, my man, you have some strong stuff going on. I love the opening. The second stanza is a little bit of a mixed bag. But there's this moment where you put us on the rooftop, and I'd like us to all just take a moment and kind of hone in on that instant together and just feel me. Feel this proposal of how powerful we're all transported to that when Preston situates us on the rooftop. And how great that feels to be kind of located by a poem so that we can see along with the speaker of the poem. Why is that? It gives us a kind of fellowship with the speaker where we feel profoundly identified with their situation. We're sharing the same space and time with them. It's a powerful technique poems can avail themselves of. And I would think if that happened a little bit quicker and stuck with that moment on the rooftop, gave us some more, what's going on? Is there, maybe there's a special someone. I don't know. Tantalizing, promising poem from Preston. But is it completely coalescing yet? No. Is Preston going to get there? Probably, yeah, sure. You go get him, killer. And thanks for DMing me. Y'all, other folks, hit me up with those DMs. That's how this is going to go. So let's jump right into some new here with Jackdaw, my friend the Jackdaw. Oh, a lot of strophe stanza breaks here, Jackdaw. I guess this is Nigel T. Mooseballs. Okay, we've seen some Mooseballs. I gave a shout out to Mooseballs. He was shortlisted. So here we go, Mooseballs. Let's do this right. A man full of sorrow lay beneath a linden tree watching jackdaws in the branches. Why are you sad? Said one landing next to him. Give me some. I don't have food, little bird. No, sadness, give it to me. Let me peck it out of you. I'll peck it right out. You'll see. Jackdaw hopped closer. Tell me things, he croaked. The worst things. She called me a cunt when I woke her up because I was too hot and it was July and she had a hot water bottle. Dude, Mooseballs, you're losing me here. What else you got? That's why I'm asking this poem. What else you got? Because you've totally lost me. Sometimes if we stopped having sex, because she wasn't in the mood, she'd be angry at me for finishing myself off in the bathroom. Oh, I mean, it's not that my channel isn't safe for work. As we all know, it's not really safe for very much. But, we're pushing the limits here. Let's start with some positives, right? Mooseballs? I mean, a man full of sorrow lay beneath a linden tree. I mean, John Berryman didn't open a poem any better, right? I mean, this is a pretty good opening. Watching jackdaws in the branches, that's a good follow-up to a strong first line. Why are you sad? Okay, that's maybe a little bit flat, but we could live with something slightly flat after such a bold opening, said one landing next to him. We're narrating a little bit, but again, I mean, you've bought us a lot of credential. We're bought in pretty good here. Give me some. I don't have food, little bird. Okay, so, it's a little too much narration for me, but, I'm not like off the rails yet. No, comma, sadness. Now, this is to me the first line where I feel like Mooseballs may have miscalculated. Because if you say sadness in a poem, and we already have the why are you sad above, when you say no, comma, sadness, you're losing an opportunity here to continue to observe, and you're shifting from observation to judgment. And I think to me that's suboptimal. It would be better to be in a situation where you save the pivot to judgment, to reflection, to consideration, to reconsideration later in the poem. Earn the reader's eye and ear more. Give us more observation. So, but we do get some more following that. It shifts back. Let me peck it out of you. I'll peck it right out. You'll see. That's good. Jackdaw hopped closer. Good. Tell me things, he croaked. Croaked is good here. That's evocative. So the stakes are being raised by this poem. The worst things, even better. So the stakes continue to go up. She called me a cunt when I woke her up. Okay. So I think the poem here is taking a bigger transition out of this kind of metaphorical or allegorical frame, and it's transitioning frame. It's going into quote unquote real life, or the speaker's life. but it loses the reader. It built up a lot of interesting questions, and to me, Moose Balls loses the reader a little bit. But there's some good moments here, Moose Balls. You got one of the strongest openings of a poem in Reddit. A man full of sorrow lay beneath a linden tree. I don't know, man. Don't throw out that line no matter what else you do with this poem. All right. The Girl. I don't know. I'm wincing a little bit about that title. Prove me wrong, exciting Substance 44. Substance D. But the girl is not. Oof. How do I know this is going to just fall on its face? There she is, the girl you just walked by. You don't even bat an eye. Okay, we're not going to do this. Steve! I'm sorry, Steve, by you, Braxord. I don't know. I might be sorry about this poem. What do you think, guys? Roll the dice. I'm learning to play the saxophone 7 days a week. I play for 1 hour every day. I fiddle around with those cold keys. Now and then the sound comes out as it should. Other times it doesn't come out at all. And the rest of the time, a sound so foul and wretched comes out that every neighbor, baby, cat, pregnant woman, guys called Steve or Bob or George wish they were dead. Okay, so like the ambition level of this poem, sometimes you got to judge a poem based on its overall ambition, right? So this is trying to be funny. It's trying to lighten our mood, give us a break from the mundane a little bit. It's trying to entertain and have some fun. And I would say by and large, okay, it's achieving that, but that's perhaps not a terrifically high standard. But we'll give it to Braxord here. I mean, it is kind of funny. So, I'm not sure I'm buying completely these like short lines. I think it's kind of insta line length. I'm learning to play the saxophone 7 days a week guy, play for 1 hour. I could see this poet, playing around with the kind of less conspicuous lines, but okay. For the style, it's a little, kind of bare knuckle as opposed to a kind of more polished professional, wearing wraps and then putting the gloves on and, all that other good stuff. The Vaseline on the under the eyes and things pro fighters need. This isn't going to do that. This is like a rough and ready type of, rough cut type. No, street fighting type. Okay. Some lines I like, fiddle around with those cold keys, I think is absolutely winning. Now and then the sound comes out as it should. Other times doesn't come out at all. It's okay. And the rest of the time, a sound so foul and wretched. I think so foul and wretched. I mean, we could tighten that up a little bit. A sound so foul, or a sound something. I mean, maybe some metaphor, maybe some simile here. Maybe we could get a dying animal, or I don't know, something even. If you have 15, 20 minutes to really consider it and find a metaphor here. Find a simile, give us some imagery, spark the imagination a little bit. Comes out that every neighbor, baby, cat, pregnant woman, guys called Steve. So that's fun. So Guys Called Steve delivers on the title. I don't really need Bob or George. Unless you said guys called Bob, George, or Steve, so you ended with Steve. Maybe that would be better. I don't know. But I think you could just say guys called Steve wish they were dead. Okay, so, that's the punchline. This is a poem with a punchline. Guys, we just got to be careful of that. Punchlines might work on the kind of the Instagram sphere, but, your literary editor, and not say you guys need to write for like ye olde literary editor at ye poetry journal. Like if you fire this off to the Paris Review, like, I mean, Paris Review isn't going to take that much anyway, but you're better off 9 times out of 10 ditching the punchline if that's where you're trying to go. But if you're not, I think this is pretty tight for Insta. Could tune it up a little bit, but, good effort. She stands. What does she stand while she's doing? We're going to find out, Whirly Bones. We're going to find out. We're going to regret it or we're going to love it. Depends how long it is. The reason why I hesitate is I'm wincing a little bit. I don't want to get hurt, I don't want you guys to hurt me. I'm tender. I'm a tender soul. It could wound me if this poem sucks. And it might. She stands in the opening places where the light reaches. Her hand held up to the sun is a map. See, here is what the shadows run. Trace the silent highway of blood and bone. A long story. Years. She stands in the high places where clouds and earth are the same. Her eyes reflecting are 2 words for the sky. Lost and becoming. Can you reach me here, where the rock and dust and the other heavy things create illusion of wings? Your bones are hidden, kept secret behind your skin. Your heart is as dry as the high desert, and you are so weary of the sun. All right, Whirly Bones. You have put together an entire poem, which is, in Reddit terms, relatively unusual. Your poem never really flags. It never just like falls out and like kind of, stalls. You kind of merge on to the on-ramp and you keep up speed and you follow all the way through. I'm convinced by the pacing. I'm convinced by the tone, the consistent tone and it's not overdone either. So a lot of Reddit poems we kind of tend to put in the oven, set the oven to 1,000 degrees and just cook until charred. This has a lot of flavor left after the cooking. She stands in the opening places where the light reaches. Okay, what are the openings? This is like an opening to a cave, an opening to a house, an opening to a story, an opening to what? Her hand held up to the sun is a mapsy. Mapsy, I'm a little. I don't know what a mapsy is. Unless that is supposed to be a M dash, like 2 dashes in a row, a map. Let's assume it is. Her hand held up to the sun as a map. Okay, yeah. So that's been done before. The palm, is like a map. Palm readers look at it that way. See, here's where the shadows run. Trace silent highway of blood and bone. A long story. Okay, so this metaphor's been attempted, but. It's not bad. I mean, it's certainly poetical. Silent highway of blood and bone. Years. She stands in the high places. Okay, what are the high places? The opening places. What are the high places? Poem doesn't really disclose that. And I'm not against poems being like holding their cards against their chest. I just feel like that kind of mysticalness could eventually retard a reader, could turn them away. Where clouds and earth are the same. So it does specify, okay, where clouds and earth are the same. So mountaintops. Her eyes reflecting our 2 words for sky, lost. Okay, so that's an M dash again. Lost and becoming. So I'm not aware that sky has a word lost and sky has a word becoming. Because of the confidence of this poem, I'll give it to them. Okay, those are possibly synonyms. When I think sky, I also think lost. Maybe. And becoming. Maybe. Okay, so possibility, like blue sky, possibility. Lost, though? When I look at the sky, do I think I'm lost? I guess you could say the vastness of the sky. I mean, if you're lost in a desert, you look up in the sky. You're lost. I don't know. Can you reach here? Well, we're up on the mountains, so we did reach here, where the rock and dust and the other heavy things create illusion of wings. I don't know. I mean, really interesting. But not quite completely amounting to a cohesive, convincing whole. I love the ending. So poems that end well, sometimes readers forget the sandwich meats. They just remember the bread, the beginning and the end. You guys got to open a poem strong, and you got to end a poem strong. If you can't do that, you're boned. And this poem, it opens pretty well. She stands in the opening places, so it kind of is a little bit of an ars poetica or tip of the hat that this poem is about poetry or about creativity or about self actualization or self discovery or all these types of things, self exploration. And at the end, we get back to that theme. Your heart is as dry as the high desert, and you are weary of the sun. You are so weary of the sun. It's a good ending. So, convincing poem from Whirly Bones. Very strong. Whirly Bones is gonna do well in life at poetry, I think. I mean, some of these line endings could be tuned up a little bit, and maybe a topic instead of a topic that's about self discovery or self realization. Whirly Bones is gonna find a topic that registers with readers about a specific relationship, about a family relationship or a lover or a place or a historical figure, or some memory of childhood or something that's going to place the reader more specifically. And they're going to bring all these tools to bear that they have here of this kind of evocative, loose, kind of almost spirit quest type of stuff. And it's all going to congeal. This poem's already pretty strong, but imagine if it had a strong intent and goal. We'd have an extremely strong poem. Let's do one more, unless Dead Men at the Height of God. I think Dead Men at the Height of God is not going to be very good. So we're just going to take a quick peek. We're just going to kind of see what our hand is, and if our hand isn't good, we're going to fold. All right, well, I have a soft spot for religious crazy. So I feel like religion, you could write love poetry, and love poetry can get pretty wild. But if you really want to write some far out stuff, God probably is going to get you there. I haven't had that much success myself, but, keep hoping God's going to reach down and make me as insane as Theory 2. Probably going to be hoping for a long time. We fill our monasteries with impious monks. Is there any other kind, though? With dismembered members hanging on their necks, wrists, and ankles. I think just hanging on their wrists would be enough, Theory 2. I mean, that's a lot of members that are members of your monastery. With dead men suckling on their mammaries. Those mammalian protuberances and suckling on them. Oh, it is truly awful what we do to these men. Is it? I mean, what's so truly awful? We filled our monasteries with them? But I mean, they're impious. Don't they deserve this crap? We stick their heads on pikes and raise them to the height of God. I didn't stick any heads on pikes, while claiming it as a sin to do so. So, I mean, the poem is just like about like Pol Pot and like Cambodia. Is this about like religious war, where like, Protestants versus Catholics and stuff? If so, I've brought up Seamus Heaney before, and it looks like Theory 2 needs to bone up on his Seamus Heaney because, yeah, because he does. Discussing the savagery of internecine, kind of tribal, factual, religious war. There's a way to do that. And this poem isn't quite on that tip, but I mean, who knows? Maybe Theory 2 wrote this poem about still life of some apples he, she, or they had on their kitchen counter, and this is just what came out when they're looking at some apples on their kitchen counter. We don't really know. Because the poem doesn't offer us that much specifics about what monastery, what period of time, where, and why they're impious, why they have dismembered members hanging on their necks, why they would be sucking on mammaries, suckling, why it's truly awful, and why we stuck their heads on pikes. I mean, I've been outside recently. I mean, not that often, but I don't see that many heads on pikes. But maybe it's all a metaphor. So, all right. Well, I think that's our trolling for tonight. I'm sorry I can't get to everyone, but you guys can fix that. You guys can just fire me off the old DM. If you hit me up with a DM, then I can most def get to your stuff. No joke. But if you don't hop on the channel, how am I supposed to know what I'm missing? Because I'm only going to get to a few and new, and it's not going to be perfect. So, but huge love, huge respect. You guys keep putting yourself out there. When you do that, when you put yourself out there, good things can happen. Bad things could happen too, I suppose. But that's adventure, per adventure, folks. All right. Thanks so much. See you next time.